You all look beautiful. I am a high school English teacher. And for the last 7 years, on the 20th of every month, the state of Texas, in its infinite benevolence, has seen fit to give me a paycheck. A paycheck that is a disgrace to other paychecks. Other paychecks give my paycheck an atomic wedgie and shove my paycheck into a locker. But if you ask me, my personal wealth, much like the faith of a child, is immeasurable. So I ask you not to measure me by what I take home at the end of every month, but rather by what I go home with every day. Because I go home every day with the realization that some of these inner city street kids that most people see as no good hood rats, well, some of them will grow up to be doctors and teachers and dreamers and song singers. And I am a small part of that. Because in my classroom, I make my students press the pencil down hard when they write so as to leave an impression on things they were not intending to impress. In my classroom, I make my students ask the biggest question of all. Why? And more importantly, I make them answer it like, why is it that we live in a world when it thinks of young people and writing, it thinks of text messages and not poems? Or even better, why don't young people text message poems to each other? Maybe it's because somewhere along the way, someone forgot to teach them that there is salvation in words. So I make my students read. I make my students read 2 plays, 5 novels, 12 short stories, and 142 poems every single year. And after we reach that point in the crucible where imaginary oak trees with real nooses dangling from them take root somewhere between a child's imagination and the gray carpet of my classroom, and Proctor's neighbors have hung for their silence, and they hear him scream in desperation, because it is my name! Because I cannot have another in my life! Because I lie and sign myself to lies. Because I'm not worth the dust on the feet of them that hang. I've given you my soul. Leave me my name. Well, that's the day I make my students realize these words like courage, honor, truth. Well, these are the words that we live and breathe and die for. So don't measure me by my tax bracket, because I make poets, damn it. And yes, on the 20th of every month, I do get a pathetic excuse for a paycheck. But I get so much more than that. Because in return for all that I give, I get to witness little miracles every day. Like last week when I saw 2 wannabe thug vato locos who looked so much like each other they could have been cousins, do what most civilized countries on this planet cannot do. Unclench their fist and choose not to fight. Or like yesterday, when Clay raised his hand in class and when called on had this to say, I didn't like that film Alexander. They made that dude seem like he was gay. And that's right, when Trey said without raised hand or permission, honey, Alexander was not gay. He just liked having lots of sex with men. And yes, I must confess that I desperately wanted to shout with all my soul, Trey, you're freaking awesome! But I didn't. Instead, I just said, Trey, man, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Thank you so much. I'm going to share one more with you. This was inspired by the best student to ever walk into my classroom. I couldn't think of anything better to call it, so it's called Poem for John. So the assignment I gave my high school English students was to write a series of 4 short haiku poems that distinctly say something about themselves and then recite them to the class. These are the 4 poems that John recited that day. Speaking in a quiet, communicative way always came easy to me. Accident is equal to invention, but there's hope. I still practice accidents. I restore antique radios. I like the way static feels in my palms. You cannot deny the lucid fact that silence must succumb to voice. And I have to let you know now, John, although you never uttered one word in class, you spoke volumes to me. And you taught me a lesson in humility, because I realized that day in my blind and deaf arrogance that I asked you to master my language without attempting to learn one word of yours. So starting today, I'll begin by learning the signs for what I feel are the most beautiful spoken words in existence. Words like moon, eclipse, grandfather, sunflower. And I realize now, John, if I were ever to write you a poem, it would probably sound something like this to you. Mother was the moon, and father was the sun. The moon and sun that existed in a constant state of eclipse. So I learned to grow despite the darkness. And I learned at an early age the power of spoken word. My mother's silence and my father's absence formed cave walls that my grandfather's words reverberated off of like children dancing in a field of purple simply for the sake of purple. And it is true. Metaphorically speaking, I am that sunflower growing wildly in the alley adjacent to nothing. And although my petals extend upwards toward darkness, my roots extend deeply toward the warmth of all the voices that nourished me or didn't nourish me. So thank you, mute mother. Thank you, absent father. Thank you, beautiful, all-encompassing grandfather. And thank you, John, my silent, poetic student, for your words. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Thank you.